What I've got for you today is supposed to be a really fun game of Protoss versus Terran. I haven't seen this game yet, but apparently it's a bit of a banger, so we'll find out together exactly what ended up going down right here on 2000 Atmospheres. Now, spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, playing with the blue Protoss probes from Denmark, we have MaxPax, and his opponent in the opposite corner with the red Terran SCVs, we have none other than Clem. And Clem, of course, is from France. Both of these players ridiculously good. Clem, of course, has been around for a little while longer, but that is primarily because MaxPax is still very young. I mean, Clem is only like, what, 19, 18? I don't know exactly how old he is, but he's definitely not an old player by any stretch of the imagination. But MaxPax, currently 16 years old, definitely someone to keep an eye out on in case you're unfamiliar. Now, a lot of people have been recommending this particular match right here, and I've been thinking about it for a little bit, right? Like, what would make a game between these two players really good? And I think the main reason is that, especially in the mid-game, they are not afraid to be aggressive. They don't really necessarily cheese. I mean, obviously, MaxPax does like to mix in a little bit of cheese from time to time, but someone like Clem is not really going to roll over against something like that. But especially once they both get some units out, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're going to get very aggressive, right? They'll try and hit each other in the face and try to see if they can obtain the victory. Anyways, Clem is going to go and build that very first barracks of his in the back of the natural. It looks like MaxPax is going to steal 5 minerals right over there. And he's also going to scout that very first Rex. Oh, he didn't even mind the minerals. He really wants to block the command center, I guess, and, you know, just be a little bit more of a nuisance. MaxPax actually opting to go for the low ground wall-off once again. This is one of those things that MaxPax likes to do quite a bit. I've seen him do this in in quite a few matchups, actually, but obviously in Protoss versus Terran, it's not really something that we see that often. Oh, wow. Probius, no! Superhero death at the very least. The problem is, right, when you go for this low ground wall over here, I mean, obviously the very first Reaper can be a little bit annoying to deal with if you don't wall it off at the top of the ramp or closer to your main mineral line. But my main concern with putting your Cyber Core here at the front is like a mid-game timing attack. Say there, for example, is going to be like a Marine Siege Tank-based push. The Cybernetics core can very well go down, and at that point, obviously, you can't really make Stalkers, you can't really make Adepts, you can't make Sentries. You're just gonna go back down to, well, I guess Zealot play, which is fine if you have charge done, and if you maybe have a couple of Robo facilities to drop a little bit of gas on as well, so you can maybe make some Immortals, or maybe a Colossus or a Disruptor or something along those lines. But there's no denying that the Cyber Core is a little bit exposed, and while this obviously does make defending against early game pressure, like for example Hellions, a little bit easier, it is an interesting decision. Not one that all the Protoss players at this level make. Little bit of poking right here at the front. Very first Stalker being very annoying. I guess this Stalker also shows up like 3 seconds sooner. Oh my god, okay. I was gonna say the bunker maybe needs to start up a little bit quicker because of that as well, because Marines can definitely be picked off, but apparently Clem's like, nope, not a problem here whatsoever. And he decides to, pop them into the bunker right as it finishes at the perfect time. If that was me, probably would have lost all of them. Or at least 2. But apparently Clem not having any issues right here. Alright, it's gonna be that blink opener right here from MaxPax, the one that we see so very often. MaxPax, of course, also very fond of playing Dark Templar. I think every single game that I've featured MaxPax in recently on the channel, at the very least, he's gone for some form of Dark Templar. He likes to mix them in as his core unit composition, or as one of his core units in his comp, which I quite like. It's something that a lot of players don't like to do. Clem is gonna go and do the big switcheroo right here. Does have enough gas right now to start up a... Well, I guess he's gonna go Raven, actually. I was gonna say Banshee. Yeah, Raven makes a lot of sense. Yep. Okay. He was just waiting until he got up to 200 gas there. I guess it makes a lot of sense, especially against someone who likes to go for Dark Templar. Clem probably overall the stronger player. A little bit sloppy right here for Max. Overall, I would say that Clem is probably ever so slightly stronger, so going for a defensive opener like this is definitely not a bad idea, but it does mean that MaxPax gets to do whatever he likes. But also on top of that, Clem really won't really know a whole lot, right? So Clem is gonna send out 1 Marine right here to the Watchtower. Eventually, he would like to know if there's a 3rd base taken here as well by the Protoss player, but yeah. There's gonna be a Stalker that will try and prevent that from happening. Jimmy is gonna try, but Jimmy doesn't see. And that does mean that the Nexus goes up unscouted. So usually if you have a couple of units on the other side of the map, I mean, you can still send the Raven out, obviously. But if you have a couple of units on the other side of the map, you can figure out what exactly it is the Protoss is going for. But at this point, Clem is completely in the darkness. Yeah, he hasn't even seen anything. completely scoutless. That very first Marine actually was the very first unit going across the map. Alright. So, what does Clem worry about at this point? Well, it could be like a big Stalker blink into the main base. It could just be a third base, right? Which is exactly what MaxPax is doing. I mean, he does still have a bunch of Stalkers, and he can still definitely go for a blink. Careful. Okay. Obviously, the Raven right there also does provide detection for that Observer. So I like the idea of MaxPax backing off ever so slightly. But yeah, for the time being, Clem definitely playing a little bit defensively. At this point, blink is spotted. I think if it would have been a Dark Templar opener, yeah, they would have already shown up. So I like this move from Clem a lot. Sending out the Raven at this point in the game. Obviously, he will have scans available. Well, I'm assuming at least. Yeah, he's gonna go for the Engineering Bay right now. Ooh, Stalker over here? Okay. Yeah, should have been over there instead. Anyways, it was scouting, I guess, for the Raven to fly towards the other side of the map. And right now, it is gonna get across uncontestedly. There have been many games where this one Raven can get like 20 kills, okay? Like, it's a little bit sloppy, but like, you can kind of hang it out right over here. And considering this wasn't a Stargate opener, it can just pop in and out all the time and just, you know, whenever it's got energy available, pop an auto turret down. Very helpful unit to have around. Hello. I feel like you should have done that. Yeah, I was thinking about it. 2 sentries could have, I guess, tickled the auto turret to death, but... yeah. Obviously, these units do not heal up out of combat, so the Raven is just gonna derp around in that area of the map. Okay. Nice little bit of micro right here from MaxPax. You can see so far, he's only lost 1 probe and 1 adept. Not that the opponent lost a whole lot. But obviously, for a long time here, MaxPax now already has the 3rd base done. It's as a matter of fact, right now, it's fully saturated already as well. Whereas Terran is only just now finishing up the 3rd command center. Ooh, okay. No, I think you need to go... Yeah, go that way. Ooh, I love this move right here from Clem. Clem is probably gonna try and push forward with this army over here, force the Stalkers to blink backwards, and then come in with this army right here from the flank. I do not think that MaxPax saw any of it. He does have a Warp Prism over here too. Yeah, there you go. Oh my god, I love this. No, he's a little too early. Okay, he's a little too early. Okay, MaxPax sees it just barely in the nick of time. But if that blink would have gone backwards into that Terran army, that would have been an absolute disaster for MaxPax and would have probably been game over right then and there. If you lose all of these Stalkers against a bunch of concussive shelled Marauders, life's pretty tricky. Recall right now though on those Stalkers. Apparently MaxPax realizes it's becoming a little bit dicey. 3rd command center right now will be floating on over towards the low ground. That was a really cool move right there from Clem. Just a tiny bit impatient. So there's a Warp Prism here on the right side of the map. 1 missile turret to shoot at it, but it should be able to bypass that relatively easily. Looks like this is the moment as well where Clem decides to go across the map. Raven! Okay, so the Raven going down there is actually a big deal. It's a Colossus transition right now from MaxPax, and obviously besides the auto turrets and the interference, or sorry, the what is it called? The Dorito dust right there. What's it called? The anti-armor missile, there we go. The interference matrix is super good against the Colossi, right? Because you can disable it, and that Big Daddy Colossus is gonna come out very soon. Big Warpin in the main base, though, dealing a lot of damage over here. They're derping out eventually. Now, where's that Colossus? Okay, Colossus just about to pop out. Yeah, without the interference matrix, it's gonna be hard for Terran to push through here, but I do really like this Terran army. It's very strong. Okay, good set of force fields here. Only 2 Medivacs. Okay, there's the battery overcharge here, man. That battery overcharge is healing those units up for such a long time. The Colossus, even without the ranged upgrade, is just softening up so many of those Terran units. Zealots, in the meantime, on the other side of the map were cleaned up, but apparently MaxPax is not done just yet. Maybe a little bit overly ambitious this time around as the Prism does fall. Yeah, sniping that Raven actually may have just saved MaxPax's 2nd time in this game. Plus that battery overcharge. I think it was this one right over here. That one must have saved quite a bit of hit points. Quite a bit of health. Alright. Clem with the superior army. Clem with the superior economy. He's thinking about going for a 4th base right now as well. Would be the time for it. Problem is, Terran does still have a huge army out, but obviously this is a relatively low-tech army. And you can see a lot of these Terran units are also low in health because there's only a handful of Medivacs out. So every single time they stim, it's quite expensive. Clem at this point knows that it is about time for a 4th base. Apparently we have a little bit of long-distance mining for now. Okay, Widow Mine does go down here. 3rd Colossus just about to pop. Extended Thermal Lens just about to be done as well, so that's gonna make this army from the Danish Protoss quite a bit more powerful. In the meantime, on the other side of the map right now, we see Clem setting up a transition for himself as well into the Ghost Academy, which makes a lot of sense. And there's the Dark Shrine, right? Wouldn't be a MaxPax game without the Dark Shrine. Alright, so this could have been GG already in favor of Clem. A couple of times. MaxPax, though, still in this. And looking very strong right now. Like I said, his army is a little bit weaker. Gotta be careful, though, man. I don't think you want to be splitting up your army at this point. That Colossus just kind of walking around there. It's got long legs, but it's not particularly fast, considering it's literally the size of a skyscraper. Anyways. Ghosts are coming up right now. Beautiful micro there by our Protoss. Clem is still on the hunt, though. There are a couple of Zealots over here. Okay, do we have a Prism out? We do have a Prism out. Okay, Prism right now moving across the map once again. This is another one of those very strong positions right here, right? So the first engagement over there was a big one. This is also a very scary one, though. Those Colossi can deal so much damage here, and they're really aiding this Terran army. Okay, Zealots coming in from the side right now. Colossus also do close the distance, and once again, a battery right over here. Overcharged, keeping a lot of these units alive. One Immortal, sadly misrallied there for the Protoss, but at the very least, you know, it's deflected, right? This big Terran army. Anyways, there is a Prism right now in the back of the natural expo of the Terran player. Since this is Clem we're talking about, he's got all of his units on the other side of the map. Yeah, I like this move here from Max a lot. 7 of the... what was that? 7? 6? Anyways, a bunch of Zealots right here being charged into the natural expo. Okay, very nice Purification Nova right now. The next unit, apparently, the arsenal for MaxPax is going to be that Disruptor. Dealing a lot of damage on the other side of the map. A couple of Widow Mines over here burrowed as well. Protoss now starting to take some damage over at the 3rd base as well. A lot of workers have been killed so far in this game, though. Okay. Drop towards the low ground here as well. 4th base in a little bit of trouble. But those couple of Zealots on the other side of the map are going absolutely to town. Yeah, they've already killed 23 workers right now. Wouldn't be surprised if they head on over towards the low ground 3rd here in a little bit as well. 4th Command Center, though, did finish up. A couple of probes were killed here by Clem in the meantime, but, like, there's a lot happening in this game. JR units running dangerously low on health. I wouldn't be surprised if Clem decides to just go home. I think it's about time, Clem. You can stick around here, but this is one Purification Nova away from being a disaster. Okay, 1 Dark Templar charged with finishing off the 2 siege tanks from earlier, and while one of them tried to unsiege there, it wasn't in time. Prism will stay alive for the time being. Alright. So now all of a sudden, Clem with 41 workers, MaxPax with 59. And obviously MaxPax also has a far more sophisticated army. A couple of Medivacs there get killed. Okay, huge EMPs though. Oh my god. Vikings right now also getting some nice shots in. Another Colossus ends up going down. Alright. MaxPax will be forced to retreat right now with his tail between his legs. Overextending ever so slightly. Dark Templar over here. Now got 5 kills. It's probably the one that was in charge of killing those siege tanks earlier as well. And while, yeah, it doesn't have Shadow Stride yet, that research is still ongoing right now for MaxPax. Once it's done, those Dark Templar are gonna get far more annoying. Upgrades-wise, Terran's actually only at +1/+1. +3 is just about to finish up right here for our Protoss player. +3 attack, that is. Researching off of a single forge, of course, but... you don't even need Shadow Stride, dude. Nah, Shadow Stride, you can still kill SCVs. Every time you scan or you force a scan like that, it's huge, right? It's... especially when Terran has this little economy. It's not really something that Terran really wants to be doing. Disruptor number 5 and 6 are just about to come out, but MaxPax, be careful, be careful. That's almost one Disruptor going down. Alright. Still, Medivacs without any energy, so these Terran units are all very low in health. I mean, whenever there is a little bit of energy in any of those Medivacs, they are healing back up. Prism going back in for more. Couple of Zealots here leading the charge. Very dangerous little movement right here on the Prism. Oh! Okay. Apparently it can just barely scoot by. Disruptors here are obviously phenomenal, right? Like, using those defensively is amazing, and that is exactly what you're looking for as a Protoss player. Simultaneously, there's also a warp in right now inside of the main base. Couple of Dark Templar, couple of Zealots, just trying to be as annoying as possible, but apparently MaxPax was sleeping on the job for just a little bit. It looks like a few of those Disruptors may have gotten picked off there. The Vikings now decide to land as well. Ooh, good split there, all things considered, even though he only had about a quarter of a second to respond. Dark Templar in the main base still being extremely obnoxious. Both players playing a very fast game. Battery overcharge right there, still keeping a lot of these Protoss units alive. Battery overcharge, the real MVP in this game so far. Such a strong ability. Healing those Protoss units up for a while. Right now it's run out though, but maybe the army right here, yeah, for a Protoss player is big enough. Another Zealot. My god, how many workers have been killed? 67 SCVs. Not something we normally see in a game of Protoss versus Terran. Alright. Should be a planet. No, it's not a planetary. It's 4 orbital commands. I was gonna say it should be a planetary at the 12 o'clock position, but Clem probably feeling a little bit threatened about it. He's like, okay, I need to take a gamble. Loses an additional 8 workers right now. At the same time, the Stalker army moving forward. This is obviously a huge vulnerability right now here for our Terran player. Clem, though, needs the income that it provides, right? He needs those mules. He needs those scans. Ay. Well, that's 1 command center left, or less rather. 3 of them are left at this point. This game was so close to being over. But MaxPax, with a significant lead right now, feeling pretty good about himself. Still, in a head-on engagement, this is still a banger of a Terran army, though. A lot of EMPs available. Dark Templar over here as well. My god, whenever SCVs are the ones in charge of killing that, you know you are in a little bit of trouble. Natural Expo at the same time right now, flying on over, it seems. Or maybe that's the old main base towards the left side of the map. Still, I like this position right here for Clem quite a bit. Getting the siege tanks in a juicy spot, or the siege tank, rather. Liberators over there sieging as well, and that's a Nexus going down. Obviously, those couple of bases that that Clem does still have, he can easily reposition those. That Dark Templar, by the way, now has 7 kills, and eventually it will get picked off. Looks like, oh man, how many Disruptors have gone down in this game? 9 Disruptors. Oof. Beautiful targeting right there by Clem once again. Grabs another one of them right now. And is Clem actually going to be able to snatch this victory away from Max right now? Yeah, he's starting to break through a lot of these structures. This is such a tricky engagement. At this point, that Cybernetics core is gone as well. Snipes another one of the Disruptors there. It's just Stalkers. It's just Stalkers. Without Stalkers, you're not going to be able to get much done. I mean, sure, you can kill 100 workers, but if you can't kill their main army, doesn't do you much good. Those landed Vikings, man. Still putting in a lot of effort. Maybe the Liberators can be picked off. Okay, well, at the very least, one of the siege tanks there, an additional siege tank, does go down, but I love this. Liberators taking control of that high ground. Big purification Nova, because once again, there's Dark Templar and just, you know, annoying units on the other side of the map. The main base right now of MaxPax is falling. This is where a lot of that production of our Protoss player is at as well. Slow warp in right here of 1 Dark Templar in the back. Dark Templar are just everywhere, man. 17 Dark Templar have gone down this game. Isn't that cool? For the longest time, we never saw that, man. Anyways, MaxPax did get a very, very beautiful new base over here. He needed it. At the same time, Clem is mining with 2 expos. Yeah, at the top section of the map, very far away. The main base is now lost. Apparently, Clem decides to get on out of there. Look at the reinforcements. We have 7 Medivacs. They still don't have energy, because Clem has been so aggressive this whole game that he apparently doesn't need energy on those units. He doesn't need life. No, he's just been spending it as soon as there's any energy available. Purification Nova once again moving around. Dark Templar inside of the main base, being as annoying as possible. But this big Terran army, yeah, it's making a beeline towards this expo. Now keep in mind, there's no way for this Terran army to retreat. This is a very risky move right here from, the Terran player. 27 probes, though, end up going down, and I think that is well worth it. Oh, no! Oh, my God! Okay, yeah, that's the downside of splitting up your units in 17 little groups. Believe it or not, Clem also only has one monitor to watch the game on. He can only look at one thing at once. He's not a chameleon, okay? He cannot move his eyes independently. At least not last time I saw him. But, you know, maybe, maybe he can now. I don't know. Alright. So who's winning now? I think it's still the Terran player. Yeah, mules are pretty good, obviously, in these situations. Clem has the bigger army. He's got the bigger economy. MaxPax overall, though, has some very, very feisty units. It comes down primarily to the disruptor hits. Okay, he's adding on a new Cyber Core right now. That Cyber Core at the front going down, not allowing him to warp in any Stalkers. But since the Dark Shrine is still up, he can at the very least still warp in Dark Templar. The only requirement for those is to have a Dark Shrine and not the Cyber Core. Alright. I think it's all gonna come down right here to the micro of Clem. If he can dodge the disruptors, he will be okay. If he takes a big disruptor to the face once again, though, right? Like that would be game over. I think we're just about to see the conclusion of this game. Dark Templar, once again, just trying to force the attention of Clem into multiple different angles or areas. Okay, good pickup right there as well by our Terran player. Jimmy right there apparently does explode, but he doesn't care about that natural very much anymore. I mean, he likes the Dark Shrine over there, but is there enough right now for our Protoss player to hold on? I mean, once again, that shield battery over here in the back has been phenomenal. EMPs over there, dealing a little bit of damage to these Protoss units for a bit. Maybe a bit preemptive, though, on that shield battery overcharge. Yeah, I like the idea of Clem right now backing off. He's like, okay, if you've overcharged, it's gonna be on cooldown for some time. I don't really need to help you out for now. By fighting you, right? Like, I will go around and see if I can fight in another location. Disruptors. Once again, moving forward. Clem going around the back. Oh. That snipe still went off, despite the fact that it got picked up. Every time we see a Purification Nova, though, it seems to kill a unit or two. It's not a lot, but it adds up over time. MaxPax, pretending like he's bowling over here. And he's allowed to apparently throw more than 2 balls. This guy's a cheater at bowling, man. He brought like 7 balls right to one match of bowling. It's not cool, dude. Yeah. Clem wants to fight ahead on, and he does manage to now, I think, kill another base. There it is. He does have that superior economy. He decides to move forward right now. Target fires down to 1 disruptor that was still using the Purification Nova. Reinforcements from the Terran player also came across the map to fight that Protoss army from the top angle as well. And there it is. Eventually, it is going to be our Terran player who obtains the victory. But that was ridiculously close. GG.